You've been ignored, left in the silence, and now you're standing there, wondering if this is where it all ends. The confusion, the hurt, the endless questions swirling around your head. What did I do wrong? Why won't they just say something? How can they act like I don't exist? I know that feeling all too well. It's one of the worst forms of rejection, not just because of the silence itself, but because of the uncertainty it creates. But here's something they don't tell you. This isn't the end. This is the turning point. Right now, you have a choice. You can spend your energy over-analyzing, chasing, or waiting for a response that may never come. Or you can take your power back, because the moment you stop trying to make them talk, to make them care, to make them see your worth, that's the moment everything shifts. People ignore others for many reasons. Sometimes they're testing you, sometimes they're trying to punish you, and sometimes they just assume you'll always be there, waiting. But you're about to show them something different. You're about to show them what happens when you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, when you stop needing a response. Silence is a void. And when you remove yourself from the equation, when you stop feeding the dynamic, that void gets filled with something they didn't expect. Regret. They start to wonder. They start to second-guess their decision. They start to feel the emptiness they thought they wanted. Because here's the truth. People take for granted what they believe will always be there. In this video, I'm giving you 9 raw, real steps to handle this situation with strength, dignity, and control. These steps aren't about revenge. They aren't about mind games. They're about you, your peace, your confidence, and your ability to walk away from people who don't see your worth. Because at the end of the day, you're not helpless in this situation. You're not waiting for their attention like a beggar at the door. You are the one who decides how this ends. So before we dive in, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I refuse to beg for love, respect, or attention. Because the moment you embrace that truth, you set yourself free. Now, let's get into the 9 steps that will change everything. Number 1. Stop being their option. Start being your priority. Let's be honest. Being ignored feels like a silent rejection. It makes you question your worth, overanalyze every interaction, and cling to the hope that they'll finally recognize your value. But waiting for someone to choose you is the quickest way to lose yourself. You were never meant to be a backup plan, an afterthought, or someone's second choice. The moment they decided to ignore you, they sent a message, whether intentional or not, that you weren't a priority, and now it's time for you to send one back. You are done settling for less than you deserve. The problem is, when you make someone a priority while they treat you like an option, you give them all the power. They know you'll always be there, always waiting, always available. That kind of certainty makes people complacent. They don't have to value you because they assume you're not going anywhere. But what happens when you shift your energy? When you stop waiting for their message, their validation, their decision? That's when everything changes. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." If your ambition is only to be chosen by someone who won't even acknowledge your presence, then you're diminishing your own value. But if your ambition is to become the strongest, most self-assured version of yourself, then you become valuable, whether they see it or not. And trust me, the moment you stop seeking their approval, they'll start noticing your absence. So, what does it look like to put yourself first? It means redirecting your focus. Instead of checking your phone every 5 minutes, start working on your goals. Instead of sitting in silence, overthinking, Surround yourself with people who actually value your presence. Instead of wondering why they don't care, start asking yourself, why am I waiting for someone who treats me this way? Because the truth is, when you stop giving your energy to someone who ignores you, you free up space for people who won't. You are not an afterthought. You are not someone's convenience. You are worthy of effort, attention, and respect. And if they can't see that, let them go. Because the moment you start prioritizing yourself, the right people will show up, and the ones who took you for granted. They'll regret ever making you feel like you were just an option. Number 2, turn your focus inward. When someone ignores you, it's easy to fall into a trap of overthinking. You replay conversations, analyze their last words, and convince yourself that you must have done something wrong. But the real issue isn't what they're doing, it's where your attention is going. You're pouring all your energy into someone who isn't even acknowledging you. And the more you do that, the more disconnected you become from yourself. Think about it. When was the last time you gave yourself the same attention you've been giving them? When was the last time you truly checked in with yourself, your emotions, your needs, your goals? The truth is, ignoring yourself is far more damaging than being ignored by someone else. Because at the end of the day, you are the only person who will be with you forever. It's time to start acting like it. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, growth requires you to step away from external validation. It requires you to stop worrying about what someone else thinks, how they perceive you, or whether they'll come back. Instead, it demands that you focus on your own evolution. So how do you turn your focus inward? First, start by cutting off the constant checking. Stop stalking their social media. Stop waiting for their name to pop up on your screen. That energy should be redirected towards something that actually benefits you. Pick up a book that challenges your mindset. Start a workout routine that strengthens both your body and discipline. Invest in hobbies that bring you joy, not just things that made you more interesting to them. When you do this, you start to rebuild yourself, piece by piece, moment by moment. And guess what? The more you focus on you, the less power their silence has over you. And here's something unexpected. When you start shifting your energy, they will notice. Not because you're trying to get their attention, but because your absence suddenly feels different. You're no longer the person waiting around. You've moved. You've changed. And that's something people can't ignore for long. So ask yourself, what's more important, chasing someone who isn't there, or becoming the kind of person who never has to chase again? The answer is clear. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose myself. My energy belongs to me, not to those who ignore me. Number 3. Stop waiting for answers. You sit there replaying every moment, every conversation, searching for that one clue that explains why they're ignoring you. Maybe they got busy. Maybe they're testing you. Maybe they just stopped caring. But here's the truth. You might never get the real reason. And even if you did, would it change anything? Would it make the silence hurt any less? Waiting for answers keeps you stuck. It traps you in a cycle where your peace depends on them, on their explanation, on their apology, on their decision to acknowledge your worth. But what if I told you that closure is something you create, that you don't need their words to move forward? You only need your own decision to let go. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This is where your power lies, in choosing how you respond. You cannot control whether they explain themselves. You can control whether you keep waiting for something that may never come. So how do you create your own closure? First, accept the reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Stop rewriting the story in your head with maybe and what if. Maybe they didn't mean to hurt you. Maybe they'll change. Maybe they just need time. No, what they've shown you is the truth. If they wanted to talk to you, they would. If they wanted to make things right, they already would have. Next, take back the power they left hanging in the air. Write down the closure you need, even if it's just for yourself. Maybe you say, "This chapter ends here. I choose to move on, whether they explain themselves or not." Maybe you remind yourself, "I don't need someone to acknowledge my worth for it to exist." Whatever it is, make it final. Make it yours. And most importantly, refocus your energy. The moment you stop waiting for an answer, you start living again. You start making plans that don't revolve around them. You start showing up for yourself in ways you never did before. And in doing so, you close the door that's been left open for too long. So, let me ask you, are you ready to stop waiting? To take your power back? If so, drop this affirmation in the comments. I don't need closure from them. I give it to myself. Number 4. Embrace your worth without their approval. When someone ignores you, it stings. Your mind races with questions. Was I not good enough? Did I do something wrong? Why don't they care? But here's what you need to understand. Their silence is not a reflection of your worth. It never was. Their choice to ignore you says everything about them and nothing about you. This is where you take your power back. Instead of seeing their silence as rejection, see it as redirection. A reminder that your value does not depend on someone else's attention. You are not defined by who notices you or who doesn't. You are defined by how you see yourself. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." This situation, it's your friction, but instead of letting it wear you down, use it to sharpen your self-worth. Ask yourself, did I really need their validation to feel valuable? The answer is no. You were enough before they came into your life, and you will continue to be enough without them. Stop giving them the power to determine how you feel about yourself. The moment you stop seeking their approval, you become untouchable. You shift from being someone waiting to be chosen to someone who chooses themselves. So, what does embracing your worth look like? It means carrying yourself with confidence, even when no one is watching. It means reminding yourself daily, I am valuable. I am enough. I don't need anyone's approval to see my own greatness. It means refusing to let their silence make you doubt your brilliance. At the end of the day, people treat you based on the standards you set. If you let their ignoring shake your confidence, they hold the power. But when you stand tall, knowing your worth isn't up for debate, that's when everything shifts. Number 5. It's not your job to fix their indifference. When someone ignores you, your first instinct might be to fix it. You want to understand what went wrong, smooth things over, or make them see what they're missing. But here's the truth. You are not responsible for their indifference. Their silence is their choice, and trying to change their mind is not your burden to carry. Think about it. Why are you the one stressing over their lack of effort? Why are you the one searching for answers when they don't even bother to communicate? The more you chase, the more power you give them over your emotions. It's time to take that power back. People who truly care will meet you halfway. They won't leave you stranded in confusion, forcing you to piece together their intentions. If they're ignoring you, that's a statement in itself. Your job is not to decode their silence. Your job is to decide how you respond to it, and the best response? Let them go. Not out of anger, not to punish them, but because you respect yourself too much to keep holding on where you're not valued. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Their actions are beyond your control. But your peace, your happiness, your direction, those are fully in your hands. Stop making it your mission to fix what's already broken. If they cared enough, they wouldn't have left it shattered in the first place. Instead of wasting energy trying to mend what's not yours to fix, turn that energy inward. Focus on your own healing, your own growth, your own peace. Because the moment you stop trying to fix them, you start fixing yourself. And that's where your true strength lies. Number 6, stop spending energy on them. Every moment you spend wondering why they're ignoring you, why they've gone silent, or what you did wrong is a moment you will never get back. Your energy is not limitless. It's a resource, and just like money or time, where you invest, it matters. Right now, you're pouring it into someone who isn't giving anything in return. Why? Think about this. If you had $1,000 and you kept handing it to someone who never gave anything back, you'd realize pretty quickly that you're being drained. The same is true for your energy. You cannot afford to waste it on people who are indifferent to your presence. Instead of using your mental space to analyze their silence, redirect it. Ask yourself, what am I working toward? What goals have I set aside? What passions have I neglected? Every ounce of energy you take back from them is energy you can invest in yourself. That's where real transformation happens. The reality is, people can feel when you're emotionally tethered to them. When they know you're still waiting, still overthinking, still giving them space in your mind, they have no urgency to return. But the moment you truly shift your focus, when you stop feeding them your attention, that's when they start to notice your absence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your thoughts are consumed by them, your happiness will always be tied to their actions. But the moment you take back control, when you shift your focus inward, you become the one in charge of your own peace. So, stop giving them free access to your energy. If they wanted to be in your life, they would be. Let them feel the weight of their own choices while you move forward. Your energy is far too valuable to be wasted on someone who isn't showing up for you." Number 7, accept the silence. It's a chance to heal. Silence is uncomfortable. It feels like an empty space that begs to be filled with explanations, apologies, or desperate attempts to restore what was lost. But what if, instead of fearing the silence, you embraced it? What if this very absence is exactly what you need right now? Think about it. When was the last time you truly had a moment to yourself without the weight of someone else's expectations, opinions, or mixed signals? Sometimes silence isn't a punishment, it's an opportunity. It's the universe pressing pause so you can finally hear yourself think, feel, and heal. Instead of seeing their silence as rejection, see it as redirection. It's guiding you away from someone who wasn't showing up for you and towards something far more important, yourself. This is your chance to sit with your own emotions, to understand them without interference. No distractions, no noise, just you and the clarity that comes from stillness. Seneca once said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." The pain of silence often comes from expecting a response, a return, a resolution. But what if you stopped expecting and started accepting? Accepting that their absence is making room for something better. accepting that this is a season of growth, not loss. Healing happens in the quiet. When you stop chasing, when you stop filling the silence with overthinking, you start hearing what your heart has been trying to tell you all along. You are enough, with or without them. So don't rush to break the silence. Let it do its work. Let it be the space where you rebuild, where you rediscover yourself. Because when you emerge from this, you won't be the same. You'll be stronger, clearer, and more at peace than you ever thought possible. Number 8. Let go of your expectations. When you care about someone, it's natural to create expectations. You picture how they should act, how they should treat you, how they should respond. But here's the hard truth. Expectations are the foundation of disappointment. The wider the gap between what you hope they'll be and who they actually are, the more pain you'll feel. You might find yourself thinking, if they really cared, they would do this. If they truly loved me, they would say that. But love, respect, and effort aren't about if. They're about what is. And what they're showing you is the truth. Not the words they say when it's convenient, not the promises they made in the past, but their actions, their consistency, or lack of it. Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." The longer you hold on to a fantasy of who you want them to be, the harder it becomes to see them for who they are. And if you keep waiting for them to change, to finally meet your expectations, you'll keep setting yourself up for disappointment. So, what do you do instead? You accept. Accept that they may not be capable of giving you what you need. Accept that no matter how much you wish things were different, you can't force someone to care, to prioritize you, or to change. True acceptance doesn't mean you approve of their behavior. It means you recognize it for what it is and stop fighting against reality. Let go of the version of them you created in your mind. Stop making excuses for their actions. Instead of focusing on how they should be, focus on how you want to live your life. Do you really want to spend your time waiting for someone to become the person you imagined? Or do you want to move forward, free from the weight of unmet expectations? The moment you let go of the illusion, you make space for something real, whether that's deeper self-respect, healthier relationships, or simply peace of mind. And that's worth more than any forced connection. Number 9. Choose peace. Move on. Moving on isn't about erasing someone from your heart or pretending they never mattered. It's about realizing that you matter more than waiting in uncertainty. It's about choosing your own peace over the pain of holding on to something that no longer serves you. You might tell yourself, but what if they come back? What if I just wait a little longer? The real question is, how long are you willing to put your life on hold for someone who isn't choosing you? How much of your energy will you keep giving to someone who isn't giving back? Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You can't control whether they come back. You can't control if they care, if they change, or if they ever acknowledge your worth. But you can control your next move. And choosing to move forward is one of the most powerful things you can do. Let go of the need to force closure. Let go of the habit of replaying old conversations, looking for meaning in their silence, and waiting for a sign that may never come. The only sign you need is this moment, right now. The moment you decide that your peace is more important than their absence. The moment you stop waiting for validation and start living again. Moving on isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about caring for yourself more. It's about stepping out of the cycle of waiting and into the freedom of self-respect. And when you finally let go, you're not just leaving them behind. You're leaving behind the pain, the confusion, the fear of what might never be. It's time to reclaim your life, to fill the space they left behind with new experiences, new growth, and a new sense of self-worth. Because the moment you choose peace over pain, you win. And that's a victory no one can take away from you. You don't have to stay stuck in the silence. You don't have to wait for someone to show up for you. It's time to show up for yourself. Reclaim your energy, your confidence, and your peace. You're not defined by anyone else's actions. You are the one who writes the next chapter. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it and drop a comment below to let me know which step you're going to take today. Your power is in your hands. Now, go use it.